Okay, what's up? So, this video is actually going to be a response video to Florentech. I hope I'm saying your name right. But so he put up an inquiry on the art critique channel on our Patreon Discord, and I told him that I would respond to him in a video, as opposed to what I would typically do, which would be like a lengthy message plus phone doodles of like whatever the hell it is I'm talking about. And so this is it. Here's the video. I hope I have some bullet points that I put down in my notes. I should probably get that out because I ramble. So I don't want to make this video like 3 hours long. Okay, here we go. All right. So the first, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to read your message first, and then I'll go through the images that you sent here. You sent four of them. So let's just do this. I'm gonna go ahead and read your message, and then we'll continue from there. So he says, "Hey Emilio Decorate, this is my first time using the critique feature since joining your Patreon. Before we go any further, I just have to say, first off, thank you so much for joining the Patreon, for supporting me over there. I really do appreciate it, seriously, since I don't have any employment at the moment. I guess Patreon technically would be my employment. But so yeah, I really appreciate it. So thank you for your support over there. I just had to get that out there. So to continue, he says, "Sorry to bother you," which you're not. You're cool. But could you please elaborate on how you approach the relationship between the deltoids and the traps, especially in angled poses like these? And so I'm pretty sure you're referring to this picture when you say poses like these. And so what I'm actually going to do from here is I'm going to read my tutorial, the ones that you've laid out here. So this one and that one. And I'm going to go sort of chronologically. So I'm going to read like one portion, and then I'll explain what I was talking about, and then I'll read the next, and then I'll go from there. So from here, I'm gonna move over to Patreon. I've actually downloaded them here. Okay. So let's see here. So I say, now I remember this particular tutorial. I don't remember exactly when I put it up. I have my phone here, so I don't want to like just like sit here and scroll through my page to look when. But I know it was a bit ago, a while ago. But so anyway, I say, now the shape to the right is a very common shorthand for drawing the shoulder. As you can see, it looks a lot like a heart shape. So the shape I'm referring to, of course, is this one to the right. This heart, this red heart with these blue arrows. Wow, I'm just noticing that I didn't even fill them all the way in. Or the heart. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So okay. So actually, let me address that. Well, actually, let me go on, and then I'll address it. I say, however, more so than the shape, what I wanted to bring to your attention is the very top of the shape, specifically the way it dips in. So the dip that I'm referring to is this. I can't even draw over it. Whatever. But like the little dip at the top of the heart shape, where the blue arrows are like pointing to. And so the dip. So when I say the dip, right, what I'm referring to, I downloaded a few images off of Google Images in case you guys like were wondering where I got my references. Let me pull this one up. So the dip is this whole section here. Let me choose a red pen. It's this whole section. Right, so if you've ever, I'm pretty sure if you've ever looked up like how to draw the deltoid, online, you've probably seen a shape that looks a lot like this. Let me actually, hold on, get rid of that. So it looks like this. All right, this is a pretty common representation of the delt. Specifically, this is to emphasize the way there's like an opening, almost like a cavern right in the middle of it. So if we were looking over the top of it, it would be like a U shape. Maybe not like that, but like, right? So this is what I'm referring to when I say the dip. It's like the opening at the top of the deltoid where it would connect to the trap and other muscles, right? And so when I draw it like a heart, that's just that it's a very simplified way of drawing the deltoid. And so where those lines converge at the bottom, right? So like this point, that's the dip that I'm talking about. And I wonder actually if I have any more references. I downloaded that. This one. I guess you can still see here, right? There's like a, hold on, let me put this above here. Yeah, there's still like that U shape that's created with the deltoid and the trap. So if I took this would be like the opening there and then the rest of the delt. And so this opening would be the dip that I'm talking about in that tutorial, in that particular page. But so let's go back to the page and see what else I said. So I say the reason why that's so important is because the trapezius connects into the shoulder at the dip. And so I'm going to go back to these references. And so what I mean is, of course, in this reference, this big red highlighted muscle, that's the trapezius muscle. And you can see here that it does indeed go into that little opening right into the deltoid. So if we were to draw it out, this whole section, now it probably won't fill it out completely like this, but there will be a point somewhere in there, in that opening, where the trap is going to recede into. And so that's kind of what I mean. And also, like, if you've ever looked at maybe like an overhead angle. Let me get rid of this image again, kind of do this. Like an overhead angle where you see the top of the head. So this would be like the very top of the head. Right, this would be like the clavicle and then the trap. And that's kind of the way that the clavicle meets the trap at that one point, and then it continues around the back. So this would be like this would start the trap. Or rather, it's like somewhere in this highlight or colored in spot would be like the trap muscle, and then it will continue down the back. Something like that. Where was I even? Oh, okay, I was here. And so yeah, I put like an image here where I have like a line going all the way down to the dip. And so that's what I'm trying to say when I say that it connects into the shoulder at the dip. And so what I do when I'm figure drawing, I have to remember one thing, which is that the trap, it connects at the base of the head. So right here, right at the back of your head, that's where the trap begins, like at the bottom of the skull, where the neck meets the skull. And so what I do when I'm figure drawing, oh, where is it at? Oh, here we go. Is that I'll like to draw that line. So if this is like an overhead angle, I'll kind of just imagine the point. So if this is like the back of the skull here, I would draw a line coming out from there. So if I connected it, it would be kind of like that. And then it's here where the deltoid would be positioned. And that's kind of like how I make sense of that. I would just draw a line that leads me to the placement of the delt. So if this line that I'm drawing here is the sternum, damn, it's a long ass name. Let me see if I can remember it. The stern. All right. So the sternocleidomastoid. If that's the line that I just drew, that's gonna go straight into the dip of the clavicle, and then this line right behind it would be the line that represents the trap. And then that gives me the placement of the delt. And then like the lat right behind it. That's kind of how I would approach drawing, or at least placing the deltoid into a pose that's like kind of hunched over like this. Wait, no, not like that. So again, I have my head. I just imagine the spot at the back of the neck. Draw a line down. As far as how far the line goes down, I guess it's really up to your discretion. I know you don't want to be like ridiculous and draw like a line all the way down here and then the shoulder comes out right there. Obviously, that makes no sense, right? So you have to just kind of discern how far leaning you want your figure to be, like leaning forward. So if we were like just looking at it, or if he had his back turned, in other words, he was like this, so this line wouldn't be as long. And so this would kind of be like that delt, the arm, and then this line that I just drew would be the trap, the rest of the trap. So I'm kind of filling it in very crudely here. But that filled in area would be like the trap. Oh wait, no. What am I doing? Well, anyway, that's the sort of the idea there with that particular note in this page. And that's what I meant. That line, I do like to draw that line down to where I would like the placement of the delt to be in, and any given pose. And so the next page, what's the next page? Here we go. I say this little nugget of information is especially helpful for overhead angles of the figure where the back and shoulder is visible. And then I have these little examples here that I put here. Now, actually, looking back at these drawings, now see, this is exactly why I wanted to make like a series of videos on Patreon where I visit these old tutorials, because I made these however long ago, and obviously I made them with whatever information I understood at the time, but now, right, I've studied more, I've drawn more, and I've learned more, and so I have a better grasp of these subjects that I covered, like, however, like years ago. This one, maybe it was last year, because I do remember it wasn't so long ago, but still, when I look at these, there are definitely things that I would do differently now. So, for example, this shoulder, the blue one, the blue shape is the one that I'm talking about specifically. This shape, it's just, I'm not gonna say it's like completely wrong, but it's definitely the way that I would do this now. Let me do another layer. So if I were to do like a draw over of my own thing here, I would maybe do it like this. Something like that. I definitely, this round part at the bottom here, I guess it's fine, but after having learned or like studied the deltoid, there's this one detail about the deltoid, and it's that it will split the arm in two. So if I drew, I could actually draw like a better one. If I drew a delt and then a line, and there's this point here right at the bottom where the three heads of the delt will meet. If I drew a line coming out straight down at the bottom, that would be how the arm is split between bicep and tricep. So in other words, the delt splits the arm in two. One side of it is the bicep, which would be like this one, and then this part here would be the tricep. Right, and so that's how I know where to draw that point. So in this reference, if this is the bicep, so 1 and 2, that doesn't even look like a 2. Whatever. 1 and 2, the point would lie somewhere here, and that's where I would try to draw that delt, the point coming down, and that would give me like where the bicep and the tricep would be placed. And the top of it, because the thing is it doesn't even look like a heart anymore. I'm pretty sure you can tell. It's just this whatever shape. Oh, there's a helicopter going over. Let me wait. Okay, so yeah, the shape doesn't even look like a heart. It's kind of just looks like whatever shape I morphed into, like, so that I can maintain that dip at the top. This one as well, this round part, I probably wouldn't do that. Again, I would maybe put it over to a point so that I can get that split between the bicep and the tricep, which would look like that, sort of. And then this one, I guess this one isn't bad, certainly, but there's yeah, I guess this one works for the most part. And the shape of the trap, would it do this, or would it just go straight back like that? Because the reason why I did it like this sort of zigzaggy way is because the trap, I remember when I was studying it, there are certain depictions of the trap where it would be like this. So instead of just like this diamond sort of shape, it would be like this and then that. That's what I was kind of alluding to with these zigzaggy lines, but that's besides the point. So yeah, those are my examples. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to Florentech finally. I'm going to go to your drawings here. So first of all, looking at this first one, I don't have any notes to give you here, actually. I would have to say that this is a great study. This is a great drawing. As far as how the clavicle here, let me see, where is your, oh, here we go. So the clavicle, I like how you have it going into that front delt, which would be how it would naturally, I guess, be depicted. The trap, I like how you don't have the trap sort of going all the way to the corner of that delt. And in the shape of the delt itself, I see this line here, it's like an indication of the middle, there's the front delt, middle delt, and the side delt. This would be like the middle, and then this would split off into the front and the rear. So I see that. And the overall shape splits. You can see here it splits the arm between the bicep. The tricep would be here in the back. So yeah, dude, this is a great drawing. I really don't have anything to say here for this one. Whatever the hell you were on when you were drawing this, continue doing that. But then you have a second one here. And so I'm looking at this and I can see that you have the heart shape, which is what I was saying in that one tutorial. But honestly, if I was to give you a note, I feel like the only thing I'd have to say with this drawing in particular, before I say that, this shoulder right here, this one looks great. I would say this is exactly the way that I would draw that shoulder in that angle, right? I would do the same thing. It leads into the chest. Yeah. I don't have anything to say really for this. What would it be? Her left? The left shoulder. But for the right, this is going to lead me into the first point in my notes, and it's that, or not the first, it's the second. I already addressed one of them. but it's that the front delt, it follows the clavicle. And so I actually have this reference here that I pulled again from Google Images. And it's that, so this right here, this whole shape is the front delt. And I chose this one specifically just to showcase how you can see the very top of this delt connects to that clavicle and it follows it. So it's the orientation of the clavicle is going to be the orientation of the top of that front delt. Right, so if this was like, let me draw the clavicle. It would follow it, so this line right here, from here and here, this would act both as the end of the clavicle and then the beginning of, or also the top of that front delt. So I wouldn't even have to draw another line. I would just use that, and it would be the line for that front delt. Right, and so if the orientation of the clavicle was like this, like if there's a guy like reaching up, that would also be the top of that front delt. Right, and then this would be like the rest of the arm. So however the clavicle is, whichever direction it's going, that's also the direction of the top of the front delt. And so what I mean when I'm saying all this is that, oops, what am I doing? Oh, here we go. I can see that you're trying to stay so true to that heart shape thing that I said in the tutorial that you're kind of forgetting to keep the front delt onto the clavicle. So like if this was the front delt, right, if it was split 1, 2, and 3, it's almost, I can almost see that the deltoid here is almost like independent from the clavicle. So if this is the clavicle, it looks like you almost just drew this clavicle and then just a shoulder here right next to it. And so it should actually look somewhat, so here's the clavicle, and then this would be like, hold up, the clavicle, and then this front part would be the delt. So it would look something like this instead of here and then like just a heart shape, right? And so the one thing that I would tell you to remember that is that one shape that I was talking about earlier, where it's like a U shape at the top, and then yeah, the rest of it coming down like this. And so what this does is that it helps me at least visualize the way that the deltoid, the top of those, the front delt and the middle delt and the rear delt, how it connects to that clavicle and how it follows it. So if this was, again, a clavicle, and I took this, I can put it in a way to where it follows the clavicle or at least the front delt, and then that is how it would look. It fits right into it, right? We can do it again. I have this clavicle and this delt, and I can just almost just fit it right in there. Like if it was a puzzle piece. Boom, it just fits. As opposed to if I drew a heart shape, and in particular this heart shape, and try to fit that in there, it would almost look, because on the reference or on your drawing here, it looks as though you drew the clavicle and then just the delt put aside it. So if I kind of like put it right where that dip is, it would, I guess it would work better. As you can see, it just fits into that. But then this top part, I definitely would change that to where it'd come out from the side. So it would adhere to that U shape of that previous example. Because if I had it come up like this would be, it's a little too flat. And of course we don't want drawings looking flat. So that's the only note that I would give you here, is I would kind of put a U shape here. The front delt follows the clavicle, and then it comes down, and then that point, right, it gives you the split between the bicep and the tricep. And so if I was drawing it myself, not that I'm gonna try and do like a study of that pose, but so let me actually get rid of all that. If I were to do that pose, and what I mean is this one right here. Oh wait, why can't I move it? Here we go. It would be something like this. I'm not gonna do the whole pose, just the top part, that deltoid bit. So it'd be here. And kind of round that part out. This would be like the U shape. And then the top of the front delt follows the clavicle. And then it just comes down here. And so that would be the general kind of rule of thumb that I would apply with any pose that's like overhead or hunched over, is just that I have the clavicle and the delt, the front delt at least, would follow that front. Sorry, the clavicle, the front delt will follow the shape of the orientation of the clavicle. So this would be like the front delt in this instance. It goes from here to here. right? And that would be that whole part. And here would be like the middle, and then of course the rear delt here. And that's really, wait, hold on. Let me check my notes, see if I have anything else to say. We'll go on the dip. No, I think that's it actually. So yeah, to quickly just kind of go over the points that I have here would be that the trap and the clavicle go into the dip. So again, I wonder if I have here. No, I don't. I was gonna say I wonder if I have a reference of the front, but here you can kind of see this bone right here, this little thing sticking out is the clavicle. Let me choose a different brush for this. This little part is the clavicle. And then of course this big orange highlighted muscle is the trap. So you can see that they lead into roughly, or into the dip of that delt. So like this would be, obviously we can't see the front of it, but it would wrap around. So it would be like that. Which again is that U shape that I was talking about earlier. And so that's what I mean when I say the trap and clavicle go into the dip. That was way better illustrated when I did that example, that overhead example, where I have the head, the back, the shoulder. So if this was the clavicle, this would be the dip, I mean the trap, clavicle, and then the trap, and they both meet at that opening, which would be like this, right? That U shape of the shoulder. They're gonna meet at some point right there. The second point, the front delt follows the clavicle. Okay, yeah, cool. And then the third one is I have put down the orientation of the arm affects the shoulder shape. So what I mean by that is if the arm was like raised up, sort of like this, the shoulder would just look kind of like that. So like this would be the delt. Then another one, if I had like a figure, I was sort of leaning forward. And he'd have, the shoulder would kind of just round out at the bottom, or at least that's how I'd like to draw it. And the clavicle. Let me actually use the other pencil here. And then if it was just a more straightforward kind of pose, it would look something like this. The clavicle, the trap, and then just the shoulder coming out from there. And so you can see here that I left this clavicle, it's not connecting to any one point here. It's just kind of floating in the air, right? And so to me, I can see, to me, it's floating in the air, but also at the same time, I'm kind of just imagining in my head that it's connecting to a point here in the middle, and so this would be like the U shape. This is like the front delt, the middle, and then the rear. I just don't have to, at this point, I just don't have to draw all of that every time. And so I leave it sort of like this, and then it kind of just, it allows the viewer, whoever's looking at your drawing, to fill in the blank. And then if I had, let me see here. Okay, that's kind of how I would approach doing that overhead sort of pose. You can still see that this, even when I draw a pose like this, that U shape is maintained even in this sort of pose. And so that's one thing that I would like, if you were to take anything away, it would be that U shape. It wraps around. So it'd almost be like if you took that heart shape, if you took the heart, and like if we were to pretend that it was like a paper cutout, if you folded it in half. So that it was wrapping around a subject. And that would be it folded, right? Let's see if I can do a better depiction of that. And this is one side, and then the other side you'd see kind of like this. That sort of, if I was to say, if you wanted to hold on to that heart shape idea, that would be a better way that I would ask you to think about it, is if it was folded in half right at the middle, right at the dip. And the reason is because that way it better sort of shows you how the delt wraps around the form from the front of the body to the back of the body. And so I think, yeah, okay, cool. That was the last point. Do I have anything else to say? No, I think that's it. So all in all, dude, again, looking at your drawings, these are great drawings. Even apart from the delt, the leg muscles you have there, the core muscles, the arm. It's just looking good, dude. You're doing great studies here, and whatever your method, the way that you practice, I'd say keep doing that. Even the way you have like the leg foreshortened here, the foot. Yeah, dude, you're on your way, I would say. So that's the only thing that I would have to, or the only critique rather, again, that I would give you for that one, is to just maintain, or just remember that the front delt, it's going to follow the clavicle, and that the top of this, so again, if I split this in half and folded it, it would look something like that. To just remember that it's going to wrap around the form from the front to the back. And so that's going to be it. Cover that one. Yeah, and so, okay, I know you have, let me see, if I go back to the Discord, I know you had another one, which was this one, and I'll probably get to this one at another point. But I do want to get to this other question that you had eventually. But for now, I'm just focusing on this first question that you had. So and also, if any of you guys reached the end of this video and you're in my Patreon Discord, just, feel free to ask us any questions in the Art Critique channel. And eventually I would like to continue answering you guys in like a video format, like this kind of way. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you have a happy, wait, what day is it? Tuesday? Hope you have a happy Tuesday. And until the next time when I make this video, eventually, I think that would be the next one, I would assume. But so yeah, until next time, I will see you guys later.